Well, hello there, friends and lovers, and thank you for joining us. This is 5 Minutes with Robert and Amy, Nasir, and you in the chat. And yes, I've got you up on the screen here, and looking forward to that. You saved me last week because I had to fly solo.
Aw, you did great. You did great.
But as long as you've got a room full of friends, a chat room full of friends, you're never really alone. Thank you for joining us on this fine May 25th. 25th of May, 2025. The 145th day of this, your best year yet. Is it my best year yet? After last night, I'm saying it is, at least so far. In keeping with today's show, La vie pour la vie. We'll explain that. Christmas in 214 days, Halloween in 159, Ocon in 37.
Whoa.
Ocon in 37 days. Summer is in 26. And things are going swimmingly. Those of you who know that I am working on my beach bod, I won't give the details, but when you see me in Boston, you'll be like, I don't know, man, you look like you did last time. But trust me, it took some work to get there. And on this date, I'm leaving out all the news on this. Most of the on this dates were kind of downer.
Not a great day. Not a great day for things, for history.
No. And I thought, I don't need to do that because I can just look at the news. Here, I've got the news of the day. You know, as 90% of our audience are fans of Ayn Rand or hardcore objectivists, and certainly fans of Yaron Brook. Well, Yaron Brook, the leading voice in the Ayn Rand community right now, he's been out of town. He's been on vacation. He tried doing one of his daily news updates, podcasts from London. Stream didn't work that well. I guess in the UK there, the hotels, I'm kidding, just wherever he happened to be at, didn't work. So I thought, Amy.
Yes, Robert?
You and I could do the news update.
For people sounds like fun.
You know, we've gone through a whole week without any news updates, so I'm sure nobody out there has any idea what's going on.
Yeah.
So, a real quick news update here.
It's a mystery, all this news.
First headline, U.S. silence encouraging Putin, says Zelensky, after Russia launches record air assault. What do we think about that? The United States, in regard to the war in the Ukraine, Donald Trump, seems to have a crush on Putin. He keeps giving Zelensky a hard time, but he won't say anything about the country that started the war. What do we think about that?
It's the pits.
The objective analysis of this situation is, it's the pits. I've got a few friends left who support El Presidente, our current Prezi of the United States, and I'm not feeling it. I think we got a 86 this... Oh, wait, you're not supposed to say that, are you?
86, 86, 86, 86, 86.
I thought when they said 8647, they were just saying he's acting like he's 86 years old.
Yeah, he's almost there. He's got 5 more years.
So yeah, thumbs down on the whole.
Thumbs down.
There. Let's see.
I get a 0 on my scorecard.
The second headline is Trump again blasts Harvard over international students as judge blocks revocation. Okay, President Trump, I should be respectful, President Dumbbutt has taken actions against Harvard University. Well, Harvard University is they're all crazy leftists anyway. They're all woke and supporting Palestine, a.k.a. Gaza, a.k.a. the bad guys in the Middle East. So we're on Trump's side for this one, right? But why Harvard? I mean, Harvard certainly the big guns university-wise in the United States, but why not Cambridge and Stanford, any of the other big Notre Dame, any of the other big why Harvard? It's almost like he's got a personal grudge against Harvard, and he's using them to make an example. It's almost like this is not what one would call due process. Now, I have no great love for the humanities departments at Harvard, but most of what Harvard does isn't humanities.
Yeah,
it's
STEM.
Technology and STEM. It's science and technology.
It's research. It's medical research.
Lots of medical research. And
actually, there's somebody on Facebook who made a really good point about the trade deficit with regard to our universities, is that we have these services. And actually, there is an imbalance in the trade deficit with regard to universities and foreign students coming over here to get a good education
Heaven forbid that.
Yeah, heaven forbid that
people want to come to the United States.
What's it going to be? I hate immigrants or I hate trade deficits. I mean, it's
why
ridiculous.
not both?
And so Harvard has actually we got a judge to grant the university's motion for a temporary restraining order blocking the government's action as of 2 days ago. That's with the U.S. District Judge Allison D. Burroughs. And anyway, that's good. Good news there.
I'm sorry, I got to. You're right. Oh, so I've got a final verdict. What you should understand about the Harvard situation is thumbs down again.
It's the pits.
I don't know. Is there anything else in the news that we've... when Yaron gets back, of course, he'll give the real insights on these things. But is there really anything else that we need to know? It just... half of it is Trump and the rest of it's about rock and roll. But that's because it's my customized news feed, and that's all that I get. I keep seeing 86 in the chat here. Paul says, I remember Expo 86. That was the Canadian Technology Expo, right?
And 86 was a really nice year for music. 1986.
The 80s were the best decade. And so why would you be insulted if somebody wrote 86 about you? Jennifer says, Maxwell Smart, Agent 86. Was he Agent 86? That's funny if it was, given that 86 means to wipe something out in whatever manner you choose to believe it refers to.
Yes, Agent 86. And he was
I never made that connection.
And the lady who was with him was Agent 99.
Of course, which Toto actually wrote a song about.
Oh.
They didn't write a song about 86. They wrote a song called 99. Go figure. Very strange. But when you're Toto, you can do that. Yes. So that's the news of the day. That's all I'm going to do with that. Again, I'm not doing any on the dates, but not history anyway. On this date, it is worth mentioning that it is Towel Day. Happy Towel Day to those you Douglas Adams fans, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy fans.
Sad.
And I like that, actually, because...
Wait. What do towels... I didn't actually read that. So,
you should... If you are a traveler, whether on the Earth or in the galaxy, you should always carry a towel.
Right.
It is one of the most useful... You would be amazed how many uses you will find for a towel. I actually take this one to heart. I don't know if I was actually inspired by Douglas Adams, but I always keep a couple of utility towels in the trunk of the car. And they come in handy for many things, more than you would think of. Of course,
I love napkins. I love paper towels. So I am definitely in favor of towels.
Yes.
And speaking of traveling through the universe, so if you don't know yet, you are a ghost driving a meat-coated skeleton made from stardust, riding a rock, hurtling through space.
Well,
just so you know. Oh, and it says fear nothing. Well, actually, fear is kind of a good thing oftentimes.
It's warranted, absolutely. That stuff will keep you alive.
If you're riding a rock hurtling through space.
Yes. Yeah. This is the old acronym FEAR, is false evidence appearing real, FEAR. But sometimes it's real evidence and you should fear it and act accordingly. But yes, you meet skeleton, I don't know. I guess, did you know inside of your head right now?
Yeah?
There is a skull.
Oh my God, get it out! Scary!
Good that you are letting us know on this fine, happy towel day. Again, if you don't already have an old towel or maybe a newer towel in your trunk, get it in there. Make that happen.
I have a number of Hello Kitty towels that I cherish so much, but they have worn so thin and they're so old.
Why don't we replace them?
Because they're Hello Kitty towels.
They are cherished. There you go.
So if you want to get me anything, get me a Hello Kitty towel, please.
Yeah, incidentally, I'm not telling our British friends to keep a couple spare towels in your luggage by trunk. No, that would be the boot. Okay. Just so we've got that covered. I don't know, does anybody still...
In a boot?
In a boot.
Like
tall shoe.
Like a winter boot?
No, it's one of those strange Britishisms. Of course, we know you call what we call a trunk a boot, just like they call an elevator a lift. There's a whole list of those fun, they don't speak American, they speak English.
Jennifer says that we have a stuffed speaking towelie. I'm assuming that that's a dog toy.
Yeah, I would guess if you own a dog, you've already got spare towels in the car.
I suppose it would be kind of nice to have a chat with your towel. You could call it Towelie, and it'll say, And you could say, you know what, Towley, you're so absorbent today. And it'll say, yeah, thank you very much. I pride myself on such things.
You know, you can take a small ball, wrap a towel around it, put a ribbon around where it comes together, and treat it like a straw doll, like a rag doll. Why you would do that, I don't know. Anyway, happy Towel Day to you, good people. And yes, sorry, I'm just looking here. Equal to Reality says 86 is slang for forcibly ejecting someone, such as a patron from a bar or casino. Yeah, it has many related meanings, and the idea that James Comey is going to be prosecuted for fancifully on the beach of all places with seashells of all things, writing in his jaunty fashion 86 47, which I had to look up. I had no idea when I saw that appearing on the socials and in the news. What does that even mean? So it could have been, 8645/47. That would have been a better clue. How many presidents have we had that had two different positions in the ordinal ranking of presidents? All right.
I guess Towley is a South Park reference, so just so you know.
Oh, yes, I have very little exposure to South Park.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
I think I've seen more South Park than I have The Simpsons, but that's not saying much.
Yeah.
Or Family Guy, or any of those modern adult comics.
Yeah.
And it's right over the hat.
Some of it's okay.
Oh, it's not that they're not funny, just not my jam.
Yeah.
No, and cool. Now, it is Wine Day. That's the second of the third holidays I'm going to mention. We had some wine, although it was already opened. And I don't remember when it was opened.
I think it was, this has been our refrigerator.
It might have been a glow thing.
For a
so
while.
If any attendees of Great Lakes Objectivists know when we opened a Pinot Grigio,
a Pinot Grigio.
Glogio. Let us know. Then we will know when this bottle of wine, we didn't get very far into it.
Well, it has alcohol in it, so it'll keep.
Well, that's true.
I think.
But it is Wine Day. So we will pour a little wine here. Wine Day. There you go, ma'am. And I will have one too in a very special glass here.
Oh. That's a very special glass.
It's extremely fancy. You won't believe.
Don't even look at it. Don't even touch it.
Yeah, so you can't see on the camera there, but you can kind of see that it's engraved. It is engraved. It says Hardee's 7. Now, if Hardee's, a fast food restaurant, doesn't sound fancy to you, the number 7 is written in Roman numerals.
That's so fancy.
I don't know. Maybe they meant Hardee's VII. VII. No, you people who used to work at Hardee's, and I know at least one of you out there who did, you will know what that means.
Old Pinot Grigio.
Pinot Grigio. So I looked it up because if we're going to celebrate Wine Day, I needed recommendations, and I asked the internet, what are the 3 best wines I could recommend to people watching 5 Minutes with Robert and Amy Nasir? And they recommended under reds a Château Margaux, which is a Bordeaux. Under whites, a Domaine, luh-FLEHV, poo-lee-NYEE, mon-rah-SHAY. Now, I had to ask how to pronounce that.
Do you want me to try it?
That is how you pronounce it. I have the phonetic spelling there. Yeah. I mean,
okay.
It will still sound better with your voice than mine.
Leflaive, Puligny-Montrachet.
Yes, except the T is silent. Mon-rah-SHAY.
Yeah, mon-rah-SHAY.
Yes.
Montrachet.
It's hard to pronounce the T without pronouncing the T, but if you're French, you folks know how to do that.
In order to pronounce the T in French, you go...
That too. And of course, under champagne, I was surprised Dom Pérignon, which even I know what that is. Anyway, any wine drinkers out there, let us know if you are enjoying Wine Day. I guess the real wine drinkers enjoy Wine Day every day. Oh.
Yeah, we rarely drink wine.
It's got some zing to it.
But this is okay, I mean, for a Pinot Grigio.
And the other thing I want to know to you wine drinkers out there, for those of you who don't experience when you drink wine that burn in your esophagus or your not esophagus. It is the esophagus. No. Anyway, in your body parts, that bit before the stomach.
And you're the meat that's on your skeleton.
What's a good wine that doesn't have a burn going down?
I always love a nice Riesling.
Riesling. You go for the Rieslings. That's true.
They're, sweet or semi-sweet. Either way, it's really nice.
Yes. Equal to Reality says, I don't drink, so it's a good answer. I know people in the objectivist community who believe that drinking alcoholic beverages is immoral. And they don't seem to get invited to too many parties.
I could say saying things or making an opinion out of context is immoral.
That's true. Everything is immoral. Actually, that's our theme for the day. So
is it?
Yes, absolutely. And I'll explain that. But first, or maybe this is related, it is National Tap Dance Day. Now, this is not one of those frivolous holidays pulled out of a hat or an orifice. This is a real holiday. This was actually signed into law in 1989, so that was by...
Why? 'Cause why not?
Well, apparently George H.W. Bush, President of the United States, back when that used to mean something.
He's like, here's some new taxes. Here's International Tap Dance Day.
Yeah, maybe he was tap dancing around his no new taxes pledge. Yeah.
So I tap dance. Here are my tap shoes.
Look at this.
Look at that. Look at the bottoms of it, and they have taps on it. It's very heavy.
I had steel-toed shoes for work, but you have steel-bottomed shoes.
Yeah, these are block tap shoes, and they're okay. They're fairly comfortable, and they've got the ties on them. And yeah.
So how was Fred Astaire so light on his feet?
Oh, it smells so good.
$10 tap shoes, or excuse me, 4-pound tap shoes.
Well, with some muscle in his ankles.
He was so slender. He didn't look like he had muscles, but obviously he did. So it really is, I'm not kidding, National Tap Dance Day. It's actually, it's a law. It was signed into law, so that makes it a law. I guess that means we all have to tap dance or face the consequences. Let's face the music and dance. Face the music and dance from a Fred Astaire film. So
yes.
I'm going to throw it out there. I'm going to throw out 3 recommendations. I asked the brains of the world, which means AI, which is an aggregate of the brain. All AI is an aggregate of all the brains of the world. Anyway, what are the best Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers movies? And Google AI agreed with me.
Oh, did they?
They
Good
did.
for them.
Absolutely. The best Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers films are The Gay Divorcee, which is the first of these 3, 1934, Top Hat, and Swing Time.
Yes.
Each released 1 year apart. And I put links to those in the show notes, just in case you have not seen any one of, I know you've seen at least a couple of them, but any one of those 3 films. It really is Tap Dancing Day.
So I want to give a shout out to Bill Bojangles Robinson, who actually became more well known in the Shirley Temple movies.
That's true. A black man dancing with a white girl, child, broke down all sorts of racial barriers. He did a lot of that actually in his lifetime.
Yeah.
I should point out, I'm glad you mentioned it, that's why it is National Tap Dancing Day. They chose his birthday, which is today.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yes.
Yeah, Bill Bojangles Robinson. Now, he was...
born on this date in 1878.
Yeah, it was sort of a natural thing for Shirley Temple Shirley Temple Black to reach out to him and hold his hand. And they just did it. And you know what? The naysayers be darned. So
it's hard to imagine in 2025 that there were naysayers.
I know.
That they... people were outraged that Shirley Temple and this man were holding hands. They were outraged. The first black-white kiss on Star Trek on television. They were outraged when Mr. Rogers was soaking his feet in a kiddie pool on a hot summer day and invited the black, was it the policeman or postman, over to do the same with him. Yeah,
it was Clarence, I think the policeman, who was played by an actor. He wasn't a real policeman.
No.
But they did that, and it was just so lovely. But yeah, actually 2 days ago it was I Love You Day or 143 Day.
143.
So Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers, his favorite number was 143 because it exemplified to him the words "I love you." So 1 letter for I, 4 letters for love, and 3 letters for you.
143.
And he also really loved the fact that he weighed 143 pounds. So anytime he would get up on the scale, he was happy that it was 143.
It's a good way to control your weight. Decide on a very, very specific number, and if it ever wavers, take corrective action immediately.
Yes.
That is great advice that I've failed to take this year, and I'm working on that. But I love that idea.
Yeah. And I just want to give a shout out also to Sammy Davis Jr., who was a phenomenal tap dancer. And amongst others, Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers, and just a great number of people who are excellent tap dancers. And I really love the so I'm actually taking tap dance classes right now. So I'm learning the Broadway, the Maxi 4, the shuffle, and all of that stuff. So it's really a lot of fun. I really absolutely love it, and you should too by going to your nearest tap dancing class. So I highly recommend it for anyone.
Well, as a flamenco dancer, I know you're used to the stomp, but as you've told me, they're completely unrelated.
They are different. You just hold your body differently depending on what you're doing. If you're tap dancing, it's more in the front, so you've got more going on the heel, and the flamenco, it's more in the back and the heel, and you're stomping like a hammer. And in tap, you've got your knees constantly coming up in front of you, so you're leaning forward more.
That's true. In tap dance, yeah, it's more flamenco. You get that machine gun sound.
Mm-hmm.
The only time you get that in tap dance is in that Fred Astaire film Top Hat, when he guns down during the Top Hat routine all of the other dancers. So cool.
So fun.
So cool. One more. It is. What was the other one today? Oh, it's Mike Myers' birthday. So if you enjoy Austin Powers or Shrek, or going all the way back to Wayne's World, we can say happy birthday to Mike Myers. Very cool.
Oh, and Stephen asks, did you like the Tom Hanks movie about Mr. Rogers? Sure.
Yes.
I also liked the, I'm forgetting now what it's called, the retrospective, the documentary on Fred Rogers. I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed both of them.
Yeah, the biopic and the documentary were released very close together, and they were both charming.
Yeah, I think, and if you haven't seen them, you should watch both of them. Fred Rogers was a really good person.
He's just one of those guys who figured out what he believed and lived it.
Yeah.
And you got to admire that.
Yep.
So, under what are we listening to this week? Swing Time, Top Hat, Gay Divorcee are all in my list. They are all linked in the show description on YouTube and on Facebook. Under Shameless Self-Promotion, I linked back to our first Life on Earth episode.
Wow.
Episode number 1, Awe and Ashtrays, Possessions, and Professions. That one holds up well, and I actually re-listened to that. And I had to because Jim Ashley, who you see in the chat, the writer Jim Ashley, who writes about film and philosophy and life, he posted this morning. Now, you tell me if this is, how this grabs you. Is frolicking ever a waste of time? And what would be the, capital letters, philosophy behind frolicking? Now, Jim has a couple of different things that he does on a regular basis, and one of them is he will occasionally post posts with no real content, frivolous posts, silly
I do that
posts.
all the time. All the time.
So, frolicking, maybe he's doing, no, frolicking, I think he might be going for something else. Well, there was more to the post. Let me read this real quick. What, for instance, is its metaphysics? What is the metaphysics of frolicking? Well, he has parenthetical comments here where he answers his own questions.
All right.
Maybe that the universe is a safe place to frolic in.
Unless you're in a tornado.
Well, Yeah, sure, natural disasters, and you go indoors and frolic someplace safe.
Yeah, in the basement.
But no, he is applying the metaphysics of frolicking. In other words, the benevolent universe premise. That there may be bad people and there may be dangerous events, but the universe as a whole is auspicious to human life.
Yes. Yeah, I would say that there's a tremendous amount of time to frolic. Great opportunities to do so. All the time, almost all the time.
That's a good point. I was watching some quirky video. I tried going on Threads. Threads is another social media time waster, and it's almost useless. Oh, see, Christopher Smith says, I skip, actually. We've talked about skipping before. Yeah, skipping is like frolicking, but it's like a subset. More disciplined. It's got a specific rhythm. And, yeah, I wonder what the musical rhythm of skipping is.
Yeah, and tiptoeing through the tulips is considered frolicking only if you're singing the song while you're tiptoeing through tulips. I just want to let you know. PSA.
Highly recommended. Well, try not to destroy the tulips. At least not too many of them. But that was just the metaphysics. Jim goes on. What is its epistemology? He says, maybe that the frolicker knows, epistemology, how do you know things? The frolicker knows the best places to do his or her frolicking in. Ooh, he loses points for ending a sentence with a proposition. I'm kidding, of course. You all know the joke about ending a sentence with a proposition, so I won't repeat it here. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Not bad, not bad. I want to know how he knows the best places, but okay. What is its ethics? What are the ethics of frolicking? He says, well, maybe the good is to celebrate one's existence, in this case by frolicking. I'm good with that one too. What is its politics? Okay, now we're stretching it, right? Jim can't possibly come up with an answer to what is the connection of philosophy to frolicking. He says, what is its politics? Well, maybe that no state has the right to restrict one's freedom of movement and freedom of expression, which, in the case of frolicking, is the expression of joy. Well, Jim came through on that one. That's good. And what is its aesthetics? This may be the most obvious one. The aesthetics of frolicking, Jim says, maybe the more beautiful the surroundings in which one is frolicking, the more joyful said frolicking will be. Let's think on this, he says. He wraps up with, let's think on this. Now, this is light and charming, but it immediately made me think of the Bible.
Well,
we've got the Old Testament here.
Oh, there's the
Old Testament being the fountainhead, the New Testament, of course, being Atlas Shrugged.
Very nice.
And but in this case, in addition to a reading from the Bible, which I will give you shortly, it got me thinking about the actual Bible, a phrase that Christopher Hitchens used to use a lot at the opening of a talk. He would say, quoting Philippians 4:8.
Philippians.
Chapter 4, verse 8. Where's that verse 4, chapter 8? Somebody got that backwards and got in real trouble in the news. Who was that recently? It was Trump, who claimed
he got something
to,
backwards?
Yeah, he was.
No, he's
somebody,
too intelligent.
There was a Bible quote, and he said, something about part 4, section 8, the sequel. He had no idea how the Bible works. And more power to him, but to claim that you know how the Bible works and having no idea about chapters and verses. Well, anyway, not to keep picking on the president, which is all too easy, but here's a quote for you from Philippians. Finally, brethren. Where are the cistern? Okay, brethren. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. Jim wrapped up his remarks saying, let's think on this. Well, I think all of Jim's remarks about this silly, trivial notion of frolicking, I think it's more important than we realize, because whatsoever things are true, are honest, are just, are pure, are lovely, and are of good report, if there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think on these things. What are we thinking about? What are we spending our time on? What are we focused on? Where are we at? What are we doing with the time we have on earth to frolic and work and create and reach out to friends and party and rock and roll, which we were doing last night in all manner of ways? I'm loving it.
I was frolicking last night, I gotta say.
Oh, you frolicked.
Oh, I frolicked.
You were dancing. You even got me up dancing for a bit.
Yes, I did.
When I wasn't up on stage.
Right.
Making myself heard.
That was fun. So frolicking, there's I would, the first thing that comes to my mind is the metaphysical and the meta ethics of frolicking, in the sense that you have the freedom of action, and that you are a metaphysical thing in the universe. You are an actual rational animal. You have a body, and you have limbs in which to propel yourself forward with, and you definitely should do that. And you should feel that kinetic energy. Whether that's walking or even simply just putting on music and walking to the music, stepping to the music, as it were, or just coming up with your own rhythms, whether that's with your whole body or with your fingers just, tapping on your desk. You definitely need to experience that kinetic energy, that sense of balance within yourself, that sense of movement, that sense of symmetry within your limbs, and it's wonderful. I just had sort of lunch with a friend just today, and we were talking about just the kind of the spirituality of just existing, of just being who we are and expressing ourselves in that way. And she was actually talking about being in a drum circle, which was really, really wonderful. I always love drum circles, and just expressing yourself in whatever rhythm you find meaningful or delightful to you. And you should do that. So that, I think, falls within the guidelines of frolicking, is expressing yourself in a delightful way, whether it's to music or just creating your own rhythm or whatever it is. You definitely should feel that.
Tom mentioned in the chat, love the song by Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. That would be going back to Bojangles. Talk about frolicking. Yes. Good connection there. And what was the movie with Bing Crosby and Fred Astaire?
I thought it was maybe Holiday Inn, but...
They sang a duet together. Fred complained he couldn't sing, and Crosby that he couldn't dance. I can't remember.
Stephen, you could always type this into Google.
Well, it's not going to be that simple, because I tried it and I got...
Holiday Inn, That's Entertainment, Blue Skies. There's a number of them.
Right. That's why I say it's not going to be as easy as looking on Google.
But the first one is Holiday Inn. And
that's a good guess, but I'm not remembering it from that.
And I just got to say, I enjoy Fred Astaire's voice. He's not, and I don't actually like Bing Crosby's voice. I like the earnestness and the enthusiasm and the benevolence in Fred Astaire's voice. Bing Crosby is, good and resonant and everything like that, but that's what I say.
That's why you've got to be Gene Kelly and do both.
I don't even like Gene Kelly.
Yeah, no, it's not your style. Not mine either, but I admire the multitaskers.
Yeah.
And he could definitely do both. Yes, I put up recently on a post, dear friends who used to play a musical instrument, today is a great day to dig it out, dust it off, and play it again. And a lot of friends, explained that, well, I used to, but, and then there were things after the but. And I totally respect that. If there's some reason you can't play anymore, or you just haven't played in 40 years and have no idea, or you sold that instrument and you no longer own it. But I love the idea of re-embracing things that have given us joy and can give us joy again. So I especially appreciate the folks who took the bait, or excuse me, who took it as inspiration and decided to do that. I mentioned last week, the primacy of values. And as Jim writes about frolicking, as I think about life as an end in itself, la vie pour la vie. You know, I steal that from the French phrase about l'art de l'art, art for art's sake. I'm trying not to stumble over the words and say something I don't want to say. But the one thing that more than any other group of people that the Ayn Rand fans should get, and sometimes I think they don't. We don't. I'll say I don't, because I don't want to project on everybody else. But if the shoe fits, then consider doing a tap dance in it. Life is an end in itself. Well, we get that theoretically. You are an end in yourself. Well, yeah, we kind of get that too, but dance is an end in itself. As an art is an end in itself. So music is an end in itself. What struck me as I thought about this week was, but art is an indispensable medium for the communication of a moral ideal, and art serves a purpose in our life. So even though it's an end in itself, it also serves a purpose. And so I got to thinking about the scene with Dominique at the end of the Fountainhead. And that's why I said I want to do a quick reading from the Old Testament. The New Testament will have to wait.
Before you do that, should we answer a question?
Do we have another question I haven't answered yet?
Yeah, so Stephen says, what's the best Gershwin piece? Anything better than Rhapsody in Blue? And now I looked it up. A list of musical pieces written by Gershwin.
Yeah, if you're looking for something charming, look to the songs. I Got Rhythm.
Yeah, I love Fascinating Rhythm.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if this is the right one, but Lady Be Good, he may have been did that. Let's Call the Whole Thing Off is a really nice Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers
one. Any of the Gershwin from the Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers films is going to be good. Basically, it sounds like what you want is the songs. If you don't like the modernity of Rhapsody in Blue or American in Paris, if that all sounds a little too frantic for you, it was fairly programmatic, go for the songs. My
favorite, actually, there's three here. There's They All Laughed, which is a Fred Astaire song. Slap That Bass, which is fantastic. Slap That Bass is a great, great song. And also, I think my favorite song on this list is Nice Work If You Can Get It.
Nice Work If You Can Get It.
Which is done by a really great rendition by the Andrews Sisters.
And you can get it if you try. Yes. Any of, like I say, if Rhapsody in Blue turns you off, and American in Paris probably will too, avoid his orchestral pieces and just look for the songs. All of the songs are wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be my answer to that too.
Yeah, we did not see Barefoot in the Park. Going.
That's been recommended before.
Yeah.
But it seems to kind of have the modern elements that I'd be surprised folks would be going for. So we'll have to finally give it a watch.
Yeah, and going barefoot in a park or in the grass, that's nice if you know that the grass is clean and it's not doesn't have any like goose droppings or bees or thistles.
Yeah. And Robert Redford could make just about anything charming.
Oh yeah.
Even Jane Fonda.
All right.
So, yes, we'll have to give that a watch. Anything else in the chat I need to answer right away, or shall I get to today's reading?
Oh, Tom asks, who sings Groove is in the Heart? Because Christopher mentioned it when I was talking about...
Groove is in the heart. I don't know.
Groove is in the heart.
Oh, you know that?
It's done by Delight. Was it Delight?
Delight?
Delight. And let's see let me see if I'm right. Yeah, Delight.
Delight. I don't even know who that is.
It's a 90s thing.
Oh.
It's a 90s thing.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, that's a nice song.
Cool. Steven says, I guess there's no reason to ask questions anymore with ChatGPT. ChatGPT's answers are uneven at best, but by all means, do take advantage of what's out there. There's some people who say, I'm not going to use AI because I think AI is presaging a future I don't like. But it's kind of like people who say, I'm not going to use Facebook because I don't like where it's leading people. The question isn't where is it leading people, because it's going to lead people there whether you like it or not. The question is there anything in it for you? So, yeah, the biggest reason I don't use ChatGPT is because I never really think of it.
I don't either, actually.
Every now and then I'm like, I could get...
And then, like, every day somebody comes out, here's a list of 20 new AI things that you can do with all different functionalities. And I'm like, all right. I will wait until the dust settles, and...
I need to ask AI,
we only get 5.
What are the really good uses for AI?
What are the best AI generators?
Yeah, how do I not waste my time asking AI things and then having to validate the answers? Because, again... they create, when AI gets something wrong, they call it hallucinations. I don't know why they chose that particular phraseology, but yeah, it's kind of like asking a friend of yours who knows a lot of things, but he's actually not very bright. Not that I have any friends like that other than ChatGPT, my bud there.
I think Christopher says, why not ask Dave? I'm assuming that Dave, is there a computer program called Dave in a movie? No. I don't know. I don't know what that's referring to. Anyway.
I don't know. I was thinking
you've got the Old Testament in your hands.
I would assume he was talking about Hal, and, Hal would answer Dave back. Yeah, right. Sorry, Dave, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Yes. So the Old Testament here. And I'm going to read a passage from this, and it's a few paragraphs. I think it's printed, it's only 2 paragraphs, but I've broken it up for my own reading here. And this is toward the end of the book. Those of you who know the book The Fountainhead, minor spoilers, but nothing too spoilery. And this is an answer not just to what should your perspective on life as an end in itself and the importance of frolicking be, but also this is for those of you who never really understood Dominique Franckon. Or what Howard Rourke saw in Dominique Franckon, or why she did the things she did. If you have ever wondered about that crazy blonde chick, listen to this. From the Old Testament, page 666. But I'm sure that's entirely coincidence. Dominique lay stretched out on the shore of the lake. I'll stop for a second and say, remember that Gail Winans' house was by a lake, and she's at the house and he's not anymore. Okay, Dominique lay stretched out on the shore of the lake. She looked at the house on the hill, at the tree branches above her. Flat on her back, hands crossed under her head, she studied the motion of leaves against the sky. It was an earnest occupation, giving her full contentment. She thought, it's a lovely kind of green. There's a difference between the color of the plants and the color of objects. This has light in it. This is not just green, but also the living force of the tree made visible. I don't have to look down. I can see the branches, the trunk, the roots, just by looking at that color. The fire around the edges is the sun. I don't have to see it. I can tell what the whole countryside looks like today. The spots of light weaving in circles, well, that's the lake. the special kind of light that comes refracted from the water. The lake is beautiful today, and it's better not to see it, just to guess by these spots.
Mm-hmm.
I have never been able to enjoy it before. The sight of the earth. It's such a great background. But it has no meaning except as a background. And I thought of those who owned it. And then it hurt me too much. I can love it now. Well, they don't own it. They own nothing. They've never won. I have seen the life of Gail Wynand, and now I know one cannot hate the earth in their name. The earth is beautiful, and it is a background, but not theirs.
Yep. It's a beautiful testament to living as a human being and knowing that you can trust the evidence of your senses and that you can trust the causality that's found in the fact that everything in existence has an identity, and the fact that human beings do not create existence. They not in the metaphysical sense, that they don't own that background. They don't own the lake and the greenery of the leaves and everything that goes with it and all the loveliness. It's not theirs. And it's not theirs, I think, because they don't use it. They don't notice it. They're too miserable. They're trying to force things down people's throats, and they're trying to change people, and they're trying to manipulate all the damn time. How frustrating is that? Of course they're miserable people, and they don't own, and they can't appreciate the metaphysics that's all around them. So yeah, I definitely put that in the category of frolicking that Dominique is doing, and just loving everything around her and sensing it all.
Yeah, Christopher Smith says, was that Dominique finding some understanding? That was her finding the ultimate understanding. Howard Rourke would speak to her earlier in the story about what she had left to learn, and that he had to let her go, for example, be married to Gail Wynand, in order to let her learn it. Mm-hmm. And that she would come back to him when she did.
Yeah,
and yes,
she did.
This is the point at which she finally understands.
So what was the context in that again? She is outside of Gail Wynand's, the home that Howard Rourke built for Gail Wynand.
Yeah, this is just after. Now, this is a little spoilery, just in case anybody hasn't read The Fountainhead. You can turn your volume down for 30 seconds if you like. But this is the point at which Gail Wynand has given in to the strikers at the newspaper.
Yeah.
And he refuses to come home. He's not going to come back to the house.
Yep.
He's living now in the city. He's still got the penthouse, the apartment in the city. So he's living there with the newspaper after having given in to the strikers, and Dominique now knows it's over between her and Gail.
Yeah.
It's actually before the scene at Monadnock where she gets the police to come out about her missing bracelet.
Yes,
but,
that's right.
Yes.
I love that, and I just love how cheeky Ayn Rand is. And I mean, between that scene where she's with Howard Rourke and she calls the police because allegedly somebody steals her bracelet. By the way, was it a sapphire bracelet?
There was a star sapphire involved. I forget exactly.
Was it a... Wait. Tell us in the chat. Was it a bracelet, a ring? I think
both.
it was a ring. Anyway. And that kind of... She's openly kind of letting the public know what's going on. And she's wearing, I think, Howard Rourke's shirt.
Yeah,
something.
Well, the way she describes it is she's dynamiting, and she compares it to the Cordeland Holmes, And Rourke points out that she's done a bigger dynamite job than he did on Cortland. And she says she's blasting Gale over to his side where he belongs.
Yes. But I mean, it's so cheeky and it's so overtly sexual, and it's very similar, kind of in that sort of shock value sort of way of what Dagny Taggart did when she was on Bertram Scudder's show, talking about how Hank Reardon was her lover.
Yes. Oh, you're right. It was a ring.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Mrs. Gail Wynand, she said. I'm speaking from the house of Mr. Howard Rourke at Monadnock Valley. I wish to report that my starved sapphire ring was stolen here last night. About $5,000. It was a present from Mr. Rourke. Can you get here within an hour? Thank you. Yeah, that takes place right after today's reading.
And of course, I don't think there was a star sapphire ring. I think she just made that up.
No, yeah, it was entirely made up at the very end of the scene.
And here is her blasting Gail Wynand, like you said, to the other side via a news report. A news report.
Yes, and she is really brutal to Gail after this when she finally talks to him.
Yes. Yes. And
and he's truly gracious in talking to her. He doesn't express anger. He fully understands exactly what has happened to Wynand has. It's sad that he doesn't believe he can recover from this, that he could ever be, truly forgiven for everything.
Yeah. Oh my God. I mean, talk about oh jeez. You cannot give another person self-esteem.
But he should have read Howard's letter.
Oh, sorry.
Never even opened it.
Killing me. Oh, jeez. Oh, my God. Howard's letter. Poor Howard. God damn. I mean, God. I'm going to start cussing. All right. So, anyway, amazing.
So last night, and I posted this on Facebook if you're on Facebook. If you're not, I'll be putting clips on YouTube or maybe the whole thing. A friend of ours, good friend of ours, somebody who I've known back to grade school days in a rock band. In fact, he had a band that was fairly successful around town, did they actually went over to Europe and did some shows. Never quite made it big, but a band called CIA had their final reunion last night out at his lake house. And for reasons I won't even go into, it's definitely going to be the last time they ever play together. And this is a reunion because they hadn't played together for some years. And it was such a great time. It was a great show, great party. And every time I go to see a concert, I'm just reminded that rock and roll and music in general really is that thing that is and in itself. Occasionally I'll think of something that I see at a show where I'll think, oh, I need to try that, or I need to do that, or I need to look that up, or I need to buy that album, whatever it is. But mostly it's just being in the moment. It's an end in itself. Life for life's sake. And I want more of that. I want that feeling. I want to be Dominique at the side of the lake saying, I am fully content in this moment. This is everything. And it took a lot to lead up to this moment, and this moment will lead out to a whole bunch of other things. But this moment is an end in itself, just like life is an end in itself. You are an end in yourself. There's a lot you can do, there's a lot you should do, but you are an end in yourself.
Yes.
And sometimes people who are interested in philosophy, they know this, but they don't feel it. They don't know it viscerally. And so if a conversation like this can help remind you to do just that, then our work is done. But is there anything else in the chat that we should...
Yeah,
I'm looking
over
for
on,
something here?
Yeah, over on Facebook. So Jim asks, yes, I do have a copy of the Romantic Manifesto handy.
Oh, okay.
Always,
Well,
all the time.
That reference to art and cognition came up recently.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it. I've got...
Oh, okay. I can
Well,
bring it up here.
he wants to bring up specifically about tap dance.
Well, it's a very long entry in there. I don't know if we want to spend that much time on that. I mean, it's great.
Is it just? I mean, I don't think she.
If you don't know, if you haven't read the Romantic Manifesto,
Oh, here I found it.
or at least the later edition, which has the article "Art and Cognition," which was not in the first printing.
Right.
She does mention that tap dance is her favorite form of dance.
Yeah.
Ayn Rand does.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, she's talking about its best proponents are Bill Robinson, Bill Bojangles Robinson, and Fred Astaire, who combines it with some elements of the ballet, which, by the way, I love. Actually, I really love his combination of that and the gracefulness, because tap dancing, guess what? It's really hard to do, and oftentimes you're just balancing, and you're having to use your arms as just your balance. And so if you can use both of you, if you can use your arms in both, in the way of balance and aesthetically in some form that actually makes sense aesthetically, that's wonderful. And that's what Fred Astaire did.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. Ayn Rand says, who combines it with some elements of the ballet, because some people will say, well, why watch Fred Astaire? Why wouldn't I just watch Bill Robinson? Go back to the source. Doesn't he deserve more credit? He absolutely does, and I've linked to a Bill Robinson routine, his stairs dance, in the show notes. But Fred Astaire, why would you then, respect Astaire's tribute to him? It's precisely because Fred Astaire combines, I wouldn't say ballet so much as ballroom dancing with tap dancing.
Yeah.
And that combination of ballroom dancing at a level that nobody in a ballroom dances, and tap dancing at a level the equal of Bill Robinson.
Yeah.
That is what makes Fred Astaire a singular talent. That's what makes him really extraordinary.
A really epic part. There's many epic parts in the movie Swing Time, but that's my favorite. Swing Time is my favorite. There's a part where he and Ginger Rogers are dancing together, and they're doing it in a closed position. If you know what that means, is you've got your arms around each other's shoulders, and you're clasping each other's hands on the other side. It's so gosh darn beautiful. Oh my God, it's just so beautiful. She goes on, she says, tap dancing is completely synchronized with, responsive, and obedient to the music by means of a common element crucial to music and to man's body, which is rhythm. This form permits the dancer no pause, no stillness. His feet can touch the ground only long enough to accent the rhythm's beat. From start to finish, no matter what the action of his body, his feet continue that even rapid tapping. It is like a long series of dashes underscoring his movements. He can leap, whirl, kneel, yet never miss a beat. Yep. Yeah, it goes on. But, yeah, absolutely true. There are pauses in tap. You can put pauses in there. But for the most part, no. Christopher says, let's see. He likes Tiddlywink music. That's
Love the Tiddlywink music.
Yeah, Ayn Rand's...
Find the old website. You'll need to do a Google search since I don't have a link for it. But look for a website called Music with an Ayn Rand Connection.
Yeah, by Radio Dismuke.
Yes, Dismuke. But just look up Music with an Ayn Rand Connection and you'll find it. Stephen Cass asks, did Howard Rourke really go to the quarry in order to get away from all the second-handedness? I thought he ran out of money. The answer is yes and yes. And the reason the quarry was chosen was not because it was a quarry and because he was going to meet Dominique there. No, he actually asked Mike, his friend, Jean-Xavier Donegan, who everybody just called Mike, to find him a job. Remember, Mike was a construction guy.
Yep.
And Rourke had worked in the construction trades. And Mike is like, Howard, I'm not going to get you a job in town where, you're a great architect. I'm not going to put you on display where all the other people can see you and laugh at you because you're now a construction guy. And Howard's like, I don't care about that. And Mike says, well, at least let me, find you a job out of town.
Yeah.
And then he says, let's see, I've got it here. I've worked for all that bastard Franken's pet contractors for so long. Well, I know everybody who's ever worked for him. He's got a granite quarry down in Connecticut. One of the foremen's a great pal of mine. He's in town right now. Ever worked in a quarry before? Oh, once, long ago. You think you'll like that? Sure. Well, I'll go see him. He's the reason he ends up in the quarry is because Mike won't let him take a job in town, for anything less than being the great architect he is.
Yeah.
So that's why he ends up. So the answer to your question is yes, but also yes. He kept his office open as long as he could.
Yeah.
When he ran out of money, he had to go find other work.
And he wanted to work with Mike, his good buddy Mike.
Yeah, well, Mike wasn't working in the quarry, but it would have been cool if they had a job together.
Didn't they work in the quarry or no?
No, Mike didn't work in the quarry.
Okay,
no.
okay.
That would have been cool.
I know what it was, is that after the quarry they met up and they had a beer. Yeah, I think so. But yeah.
Well, and they meet up again during the building of Stoddard Temple.
Yes. And, well, they first met each other.
Yeah, well, their meeting was great, too. That's a whole scene.
It's so good.
Careful with that acetylene torch. You might burn your pretty pink toes. Anybody who says Ayn Rand couldn't write can't read.
I mean, her writings are very memorable, and even if you don't know it by rote or by heart, you can remember some of these scenes that are just, they will stick with you forever.
Yes. Yes. Now, Jim Ashley goes back, way back, mentioned Rhapsody in Blue and American in Paris and said Concerto in F. I don't know if I've listened to the Concerto in F. Anyway, need to listen to more in general from Gershwin. But that was it. That was what I wanted to talk about today. Do we have anything else we need to respond to? Are we ready
Tony
to...
on Facebook, she says, I'm enjoying this.
Thank you, Tony. That's very kind of you. It's...
loud and proud. I'm enjoying it too.
It is our regular Sunday night, but mostly regular. I mention that because there's a good chance we may have to postpone next Sunday's show.
Yeah. There's an event we're going to.
And I'm curious because some of you have expressed that if you have to postpone a show, do it the next day. But other people have said, this is kind of the only time I've got to watch or listen to you guys. And so if you can't do it on Sunday, 6 o'clock Eastern, just, cancel it and do it the next week. Let me know. Let me know your opinion either in the chat or in the comments or anywhere else that you would like to express that opinion. And we will figure out what's going to be the most rational thing to do, given that, again, we have a potential schedule conflict next week. But we are glad that, I love saying we. Last week I was all like, I'm all alone. I'm a little lonesome. Where is my lovey? So, yes, let us know. Yeah,
and by the way, last weekend I had great fun. Me and my friend Cheryl, we went to see the Kevin James Thornton comedy show. If you don't know who Kevin James Thornton is, you should look him up. He's very, very 80s or the 90s, actually. He's very funny. I find him absolutely hilarious. He's extraordinarily blasphemous, I should let you know. But he's also very endearing and just a lovely person. That's all I gotta say. He's so funny. Funny.
Jim says, an event, will there be frolicking? There probably will be because it's a wedding.
Yes.
And it's a wedding of younger people wwho are, capable of frolicking.
Yeah, there will be frolicking.
Are you ever really too old to frolic? It might look different at 90, but, Dick Van Dyke turned 100 and he's still out there. And I'll bet he's frolicking, maybe not on the rooftops with the chimney sweeps, but in whatever way he can. And,
Tony is recalling her... remembering the first time Dagny rode her own train.
Yes, and I was going to mention in the context of the Dominique scene I just read, that's really her version of realizing, we never had to take any of it seriously, did we?
Absolutely. Perfect connection.
So, John and Dagny moment there. And
Yeah.
we've mentioned that before, and we will undoubtedly again. But for now, that's it. That's all we've got. All that remains. Incidentally, thanks again to Paul, who suggested that we figure out how the show doesn't end with our last words getting cut off on the YouTube side of things. Don't be
Yeah.
surprised if the outro is like last week, a little bit different. But in that case, all that remains is for us to wish you all of the success that you so richly deserve. Why do you deserve it? 2 reasons. 1, because you're already awesome. You're here. You sit and listen to folks like us on a show like this, and you are somebody like you, and that's a reason enough. But number 2, some of you are supporters of this show, patrons of the show at patreon.com/Robert Nasir, and that makes you just a little bit extra awesome. And you have our gratitude. We're feeling it. We're feeling it in the heart for you keeping these various lights on and the cameras running and these computers that make the show possible. All the stuff behind the scenes, which a few of you have been on site to listen to and watch and see and peek on before, but most of you don't know. But you do keep the gears turning, including the gears in our heads.
Yeah.
That,
It's really fun.
Keep all of those thoughts happening. Our gratitude goes out to the patrons. If you'd like to join them, go to robertnasir.com, scroll to the bottom. You will see links to where you too can support the show. But whether you do or not, you can like the show, you can share the show, you can subscribe to us on YouTube, you can help us grow in stature, and if not in size, and that will be appreciated too. And because you are here, just because you have stuck it out until the very end, we would do it anyway. We wish you love.